In this podcast reflection, we talk about creation. This is chapter 12 of our posts. So traditionally, creation did not have its own chapter in Christian theology. We now add a whole chapter because the urgency of thinking about creation on its own, outside of humanity, and obviously in relation to humanity, as we'll see, but also in relation to God. It has to stand on its own because of the urgency of the state of our planet Earth. So, one of the things that's really changed for me based on a lot of reading I've done is rethinking creation in a whole new way. And that way has to do with thinking about creation, the earth, the soil, as much as the animals, the way we think about persons, human persons. What do I mean? Well, to be human means that you have some kind of choice. You can choose well, you can choose not so well, you can choose how you treat or behave toward another person. You often have needs, and so you depend on them, and certain things we do out of necessity. We have to grow and eat meals, we have to drink water and fluids, we have to sleep. That's a necessity. That's programmed into being part of our humanity, our mortality. How we do that, though, when we do that, how we cooperate with others, what type of work and activity we do, that is part of who we are. But there's certain freedoms within that, but necessities are also part of what makes us human beings, part of this earth, part of humanity, part of being mortal, and so on and so forth. Well, imagine thinking about creation and the animals that way. That creation is not just passive, sort of there in the background of our lives, sort of being played upon or acted upon, but that creation, everything that creation does from the growth that happens, its willingness to give to us or to allow things to grow for us when we plant, thinking about it as a free choice within the necessities that creation too has, the rhythms and cycles and the seasons and the things the earth needs, the things animals need, spending their time foraging or looking or for food and however that food comes and caring for their young and so on and so forth. Not seeing that as simply being like robots or programmed, but actually living lives, sometimes simpler lives than human lives. We're a little more complex. We have more complex brains in some cases. Although I think we overread animals. We know that there's mysteries there that we don't, we're not a part of as humans, but that's another story, okay? So thinking about creation as persons and yeah, how does that change the way we relate with creation? Well, first of all, we see that in the Bible, and this is how a rereading of the Bible from maybe a more indigenous perspective, bringing in all the scholarship that's there, makes us realize that the Bible conceptualizes creation as a person. Animals are, treated like persons. They have a choice. They're responsive to God. God did not create robots or just background. Creatures are not just there to just be. They're there to live, to thrive as much as possible. And yes, there is the cycle of life. We live, we grow, we pass on to those left behind, and then we die. And sometimes there are tragedies. We'll get to that in a moment. But, creation lives and dies and moves on, and the cycles of life come and go. But within that, there is freedom to choose, there is freedom to reciprocate, to build relationships. The question is, how are we as human beings interacting with this earth, this universe that God has placed us in as part of the creational process, right? So the first thing to think about is freedom. Imagine thinking about how the earth responds to us, what's happening in the earth, as part of freedom, not just simply a programmed passive background. How we treat the earth, what we do in the ground, under the ground, above ground, how we treat, from the trees to the animals to the technologies we produce and how it affects Mother Earth. Imagine if we interpreted Mother Earth's reaction to us as her trying to communicate to us that we are being harmful and abusive and not being caring neighbors. When we are told in the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself, who do we think of as neighbors? Traditionally, we've thought only of human beings as neighbors. Animals are off limits. The earth, off limits. It doesn't really care. It doesn't have feelings. But what if we reimagine that and thought of everything that is alive, part of creation of God, as having feelings, as being alive, as being responsive in some way, of building relationships that are more healthy and whole. So this, if you read the post, it'll be a little more detailed and structured, but the basic thing is rethinking creation as person. And one more thing to say about this, at least one more thing, and that is that, sometimes we interpret, these natural disasters as, and things that happen that affect us humans, it's not something that's necessarily personal. There is the ebb and flow of nature. Cataclysms are part of it. And we human beings are vulnerable, in some cases, small creatures within a vast network of relations. And sometimes we're caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. We don't have the strength or the power, or the survivability. And so we are caught and terrible, terrible things happen to us, tragic things. But this is not, evil. Human cruelty is evil. Human cruelty and choice to do harm to the earth and other people, that is an atrocity. But nature doesn't, nothing in nature gives us the evidence that it's personal. There's a personal attack, on humans. But at the same time, as we know with global warming, which is happening, it's a planetary cycle, but at the same time, the acceleration of warming, the impact of human technologies and behaviors, and how that's sort of really, really putting a lot of strain and stress and pressure on Mother Earth. Imagine interpreting the fact that Mother Earth, the air is not being cleaned as well, and so on, that this stress is sort of and this reaction, and the fact that global warming and crises are accelerating natural disasters in terms of how long they happen, how intensely they happen when you think about fires and floods and all those things, that it is a reaction and a response from Mother Earth saying, no, this is not good, I'm upset, and I'm going to express that upset in not simply absorbing all the things that humans do and just going on. I am pushing back. And so part of it is how, moving into today and tomorrow, we collectively as humans are going to reshape this relationship with Mother Earth, to heal broken, to practice some healing and hope for reconciliation in some way, just like we do with indigenous peoples and others. We need to do this with the earth as well, and all creatures that depend on the earth. We humans have a pivotal role to play, and Mother Earth is as beloved by God as we humans are beloved by God, and as precious like all the animals are, and it is incumbent on us to be part of a new wave of consciousness, of recognizing all life around us as persons like we ourselves are persons. This is a call of God. It is biblical, and Jesus certainly thinks of life in that way as precious, like we humans are precious. It will ennoble us to reimagine and rethink the way we relate to the life around us, the non-human life, as much as the human life. Thank you.